Hello, Colin here. My tribute to Maurice Fogel, um, Mentalist and Showman. Maurice was born in 1911 and came to fame really after the war, playing the number one circuits. He claimed to be a mentalist and a mind reader, and but he started off doing a pretty standard magic act. In fact, he did the bullet catch with a Lee Enfield rifle, apparently, which was an army rifle that was a .22, something like that, but not particularly safe. And he'd do the bullet catch and spit it from his mouth onto a plate, a marked bullet. But then he branched off from magic into mentalism, where he became the amazing Fogel. And he did mind reading and had a great stage presence. He wasn't a particularly tall man, but he was big and had black bushy hair. If you imagine Max Mayvern, not so camp, without the eye makeup and the shaved head and doing it really straight, that was Maurice. And he was very successful. His method of doing magic was pretty basic. He put out several tricks, a just chance, which is a choose one of three, and his hanging, cheating the gallows, whereas nooses, and one was faked and the others were genuine, and they were mixed up by a member of the audience. Not terribly sophisticated, but in Maurice's hands it worked. And his sealed message in a bottle, a prediction of next week's headlines given to the editor to put in the safe, went far. Simple as heck to do, very cheeky. But Maurice made one big mistake, and that was I think in the 60s. He claimed that he could actually read minds. He took that step a little bit too far, and he was picked up by the News of the World, which was a sort of Sunday rag that was an expose paper. Clifford something or other, not Max Clifford, but Clifford Davis challenged him and disclosed all the tricks and how Maurice did them, and so made him look a bit like a fraud, which he wasn't. He just overstepped the mark on a couple of occasions because he only ever played vaudeville. He was a theatre performer. He was an act, so people knew what they were getting. He didn't try and con people, like perhaps people like Uri Geller who claim to have powers that they certainly don't, and prey on people's gullibilities. Well, Maurice played on their fantasies, but not their gullibilities. And this expose hit him quite hard. And for a couple of years, he took time to himself, and he wrote a book called Fogelism, which is really a self-help book about positive thinking and the power of positive thought. And then he started to come back on the scene. And would you believe it, he got a brain tumour. And the one thing that his mind that he prided himself on started to deteriorate, in so much that he had to have an operation. And I think towards the end of his life, he actually had an open wound in his head where the surgery had taken place, but he could still work. You could take it. He wouldn't know what day of the week it was. He wouldn't know where he was, what theatre he was in. But he was taken, and because he had this powerful mindset, he could get up and do the act. Of course, it wasn't as good as it had been in his heyday, but Maurice Fogel's mind still had a huge power. And that's how I remember him. I mean, to me, mentalism is a bit of hokum. It's how do you do that? And it's quite clever. But he had a great theatrical sense. And one of the tricks I do recall was the Houdini seance, where he'd recreate the Houdini seance that Beth Houdini, Houdini's wife, had every Halloween. And there was a picture of Harry, on the table with curtains. They draw the curtains and open the picture, and they have the seance. And the tricks themselves would be very simple: knots in a rope, a chalk slate prediction, and one or two other little things. But in Maurice's hands, he created an atmosphere that was really quite spine chilling. It definitely did. Make the hairs stand up on the back of your neck. And at the end, I always remember he said, and Houdini never made contact, but on that last séance, on the night that they said that this is it, no more, it rained in where it was, Boston, which was unheard of at that time of year. So was that Harry trying to communicate? And as he spoke, the curtains on the picture would slowly draw closed, and he'd take his applause. That's how I remember Maurice Fogel. A great showman, just went a little bit too far on one occasion and paid dearly for it. But the late and great Maurice Fogel, certainly a name to conjure with. Hope you enjoyed this little chat. TTFN, that's ta-ta for now.